I'm Joel Garcia.
I'm Noelia Pineda. I'm Violeta Tapia.
I'm Tara Combs.
Hello, I'm Jimena Calero. Please take a look at these pictures and tell me, what do you see? How would you describe the oldest child in this picture?
Looks like a happy kid.
He's a kid with a loving family.
How about this one? How would you describe the child in the picture? Anything special that draws your attention?
He looks smart and joyful.
No. The two children in the pictures look like any other children. Nothing special that draws your attention or makes you suspicious. What would you say if I told you that the child in the first picture killed everyone in that picture? Meet Nicholas Browning, a 16-year-old boy from Baltimore, Maryland, who shot and killed his father, his mother, and two younger brothers. The second picture shows John Cuddle, another 15-year-old boy who shot his mother 9 times and shot his stepfather twice in the head. Does anyone know what these two children have in common? They both had a history of being physically abused by their parents. In each case, both children were disciplined by corporal punishment at the hands of their parents. What is corporal punishment? According to UNICEF, it is the use of physical force causing pain but not wounds as a means of discipline. Now, these are obviously two extreme cases on the corporal punishment spectrum, but the similarities cannot be ignored. Just as you turn on the news and hear about young people committing assaults, robberies, rape, and even in some cases murder, you have to ask yourself, what do a large number of these children have in common? Again, the answer is a background of having experienced corporal punishment. Corporal punishment does not specifically lead to children committing crimes, but it is a risk factor and leads many children to having poor coping skills and may even help to breed violence in others. Researchers Strauss and Donnelly studied many parents believe that using corporal punishment leads to enforcing compliance with desired behaviors. However, the research actually showed that instead of reducing inappropriate behaviors among children, corporal punishment actually teaches children that the use of physical aggression is normal and appropriate to solving problems. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, on average, juveniles aged 12 and older have been involved in 25% of serious violent crimes over the span of the last 25 years. One of the most important factors influencing delinquent behavior is the family setting. The family is the main transmitter of belief and attitudes through socialization, and this greatly influences the child. Parents who use corporal punishment as a form of discipline has shown as being associated with higher rates of physical aggression, more substance abuse, and an increased risk of crime and violence as they become adolescents and young adults. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, the statistics show that corporal punishment not only increases the change of physical injury to a child, but it's only a short-term solution. This form of discipline only shows and models aggressive behavior with minimal results. According to a study by Grogan Kaler, parents who use harsh discipline may unintentionally promote antisocial behavior in children through inept discipline practices and erratic expression of anger towards a child. The more children are spanked, the more likely they are to spank their own children, the more likely they are to hit a spouse and experience more marital conflicts as adults. There are other forms of teaching effective discipline without aggressive behavior with better long-term results. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, a parent-child relationship must be established by promoting a positive emotional tone in the home through play and parental affection. Children tend to seek parents' undivided attention, which sometimes leads to misbehavior if the parent shows no interest. Timeout and removal of privileges are two common discipline approaches that have been associated for reducing undesired behavior. For young children, timeout usually involves involves placing a child in a chair for a specified time with no adult interaction. The timeouts must be used consistently for an appropriate duration, not excessively, and with strategies for managing escape behavior in place before the timeout is imposed. This requires much parental practice and patience. For older children and adolescents, this usually involves removing privileges or denying participation of activities such as going out with friends, watching TV, or losing driving privileges. In order to be effective, this strategy requires a valued privilege to be removed. Over many decades of study and research on corporal punishment, it has been demonstrated to be more effective than other approaches for managing undesired behavior in children. The statistics have also shown an increase of aggressive behavior and violence on children that have experienced any form of corporal or abusive punishment. Every night you turn on the TV, the nightly news is full with stories of juveniles committing violent acts. Next time, ask yourself, what would make this kid do this? Based on the research, one of the answers is a history of parental corporal punishment. Do you want your children to grow up and potentially engage in juvenile delinquent acts? Stop corporal punishment. Now, questions?
Besides corporal punishment, what other factors contribute to juveniles committing crimes?
The family dynamics, whether the family is a one-parent or two-parent household, the socioeconomic level of the family also has an influence, as well as the cultural beliefs of the family.
What about the spanking?
Many parents do use spanking as an immediate means to correct undesirable behavior. However, this is only a short-term solution. If it actually worked, the child would never repeat that behavior again, but as we know, the child will forget and repeat the behavior. An alternative is implementing a timeout or set strict limits. These will take longer to implement, but in the long run, the results will be longer lasting. Parenting is difficult and it takes patience.
Have you ever applied these techniques that you're referring to?
As a matter of fact, I have. When I helped raise my twin brothers, I applied the timeout technique as opposed to using spanking. I noticed it did have to be applied immediately to have some type of effect. It takes time, but it can be done.
Can I put these techniques to work now?
Yes, it is never too late to change, especially if you are talking about what is in the best interest of your child. Well, thank you, everyone.